Hey, it's the Empire, Geoboxing Empire, Backshot Boxing. Now, Andy Ruiz versus Luis King Kong Ortiz is finally happening, man. And this is the big fight. People have been talking about it. And there's been, shockingly, a general consensus online that Andy Ruiz will win this fight. Now, I watched the PBC podcast, man, and they seem like they really want Andy to win. They talked about the Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder fight a lot, right? They said that, they think Andy might win it. This would be a big fight for the Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder fight. Talking about how when Deontay Wilder and Ortiz were both champions at the time, right? When Andy Ruiz beat Anthony Joshua when he first came to America to get the WBA, IBF, and WBO titles, right? They really wanted to make that undisputed match with Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz. And it could have happened if Andy Ruiz took the W against Anthony Joshua, which did not end up happening, right? They really want to revisit that fight. They think it'll do big numbers. So it seems to me like the PBC are really rooting for Andy Ruiz. Now, all that being said, man, me personally, I think that Ortiz versus Andy Ruiz is a big mismatch in my opinion. Andy Ruiz is a good fighter and everything, but the guy has slow feet, and the guy is fast with his hands, but he's slow mover. Now, there's been a lot of pictures of Andy Ruiz popping up lately. He's gotten bigger. He looks like he's in better shape. But shockingly enough, he's the same weight as he was in the first Anthony Joshua fight. So this guy has been lifting weights, been maxing out, right? And I think that's really going to affect Andy Ruiz's speed in this fight with King Kong Ortiz, because he's been maxing out and getting bigger. But has he been doing cardio? No, I don't think so, man. The guy weighs the same as he did against Anthony Joshua. He just looks filled out more, right? Because he's been lifting weights. Right now, if you guys didn't know, Andy Ruiz's last fight, he fought Chris Arreola. He was dropped in that fight, and when he got dropped, his knee went out, left knee. Right now, this guy was already slow when he fought Anthony Joshua the second time, and he couldn't catch up to him. But now that he has surgery on his knee, how much cardio did he really do in between the fight with Chris Arreola and Luis Ortiz? I don't think much. I just don't think much. I think Andy Ruiz he's been following the game plan of Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, unfortunately, and looking aesthetically pleasing and lifting weights. I think that's the wrong way to go if I were Andy Ruiz. The guy, he's trying to look big and get in shape, but he's doing it the wrong way. This is machine strength and not physical strength. I see him lift weights with static, static things, like lifting weights, doing a bench press, or like a static squat, nothing really athletic. Will it work for Luis King Kong Ortiz? Well, King Kong Ortiz is southpaw, so he's taller than Andy Ruiz, right? They got the same reach. We're gonna see how this whole thing plays out, man. But in a fair world, I'd pick Ortiz to win. But like I said, the PBC, man, they're going for Andy Ruiz. So it could be anyone's guess, man. I think at Ortiz, if he can win, he might have to stop Andy Ruiz to really win this fight. And Andy Ruiz could probably win. If he wins, it would be by decision. Andy did not stop Chris Arreola, right? He did not stop Anthony Joshua the second time, at least, right? The guy is not really known to be a knockout artist, at least not when he's fighting big names, right? He didn't knock out Joseph Parker. Andy Ruiz is not some knockout artist. Now, King Kong Ortiz, he knocks out all big names, right? The only guy, that wasn't a big name he didn't knock out was Deontay Wilder, but he did knock out Charles Martin, right? He did knock out some big dogs, right? So all that being said, man, it's gonna be a cat and mouse game in the beginning, and I think the slower rounds are gonna be dominated by King Kong Ortiz, because King Kong Ortiz is the best southpaw in the heavyweight division, right? I've been hearing about Andy talking about how he's been training against southpaws. Yeah, but you're fighting the best southpaw. So training against lower level southpaws is not the same thing as training against the best southpaw in boxing, right? So we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out, man. I'm really excited to see this fight. Like I said, man, I'm leaning more toward Ortiz, but I just pick him flat out to win. I think he'll win it. Andy, if it goes to decision, I think he can win a controversial one, because like I said earlier, there's just more money in Andy Ruiz. I actually looked it up earlier, and at least the reports are saying, or from what I saw, they were saying that Charles Martin versus versus Luis King Kong Ortiz only did 25,000 pay-per-view sales, right? That's not that good at all. So they're gonna want the biggest bang for the buck, and boxing is a business at the end of the day. So they're really gonna be leaning toward Andy Ruiz. So, you know, I personally think that Ortiz, if he didn't stop Andy, he might get robbed, man. You know, Andy's fast and everything, but like I said, he's fighting a southpaw. There's some things that you can do fighting an orthodox fighter that you can't really do against a southpaw, right? Basically throwing a jab. When you throw a jab and you're far away from a southpaw, he's most likely going to counter you with a straight left, right? This is going to be a battle of Andy Ruiz's right hand versus Ortiz's left hand. And Andy Ruiz has never been known to have a good straight right. Ortiz has been known to have a really good straight left. So we're going to see how this whole thing plays out, man. But the odds are heavily in on Andy's side, and I'm sort of shocked. I always thought that this fight would ever happen, I'd be going toward Ortiz. But we're going to see how this whole thing plays out, man. This is going to be a big fight. It's happening tonight on a Sunday, which is wild stuff. A lot of people thought the fight was happening last night. Nope, happening tonight, baby. So this is going to be one for the books, guys. I'm excited to see this fight. And this is really going to be one of those fights where this is going to... I don't think that whoever wins this fight is going to be going the WBC route, right? They're saying the winner of this fight might fight Deontay Wilder, which makes sense. But, you know, Andy Ruiz already fought for other titles. Luis Ortiz, he already fought for WBC twice. It wouldn't make sense for him for the fight third time. Whoever wins this fight is most likely going to be a mandatory for the WBA, IBF, or WBO. You know, those rankings get real funky all the time, and people flip-flop or just become top 10 or number one out of nowhere. So you can't put nothing past those rankings. So I'm really excited to see that, because I always thought Luis Ortiz being a southpaw would always give problems to Anthony Joshua. And now that Anthony Joshua got dethroned by southpaw and Alexander Usyk, you know, I want to see Usyk fight another elite level southpaw, right? Now, it's just a game changer, right? Ask Ortiz when he fought Charles Martin. He was dropped twice in that fight because he fought a fellow southpaw. Things are different, spacing's different, everything's different when you're fighting a guy who's the same hand as you, right? So we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out, man. We want to see fresh matchups. Having guys fight 2-3 times, it gets old. We want to see new, fresh matchups. And whoever wins this fight, well, if Andy wins this fight, it'd be a good fight between him and Deontay Wilder. And if Ortiz wins this fight, hopefully he goes the other route where he's fighting Tyson Fury or Alexander Usyk. I would love to see those fight. So anyway, let me know who you guys got in the fight, man. Me personally, I think Ortiz will win it, man. Andy Ruiz, if he wins, he's not knocking him out. It'll be by decision. So we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out. Let me know how you guys feel about it, though. Like, comment, subscribe. This is the Empire. Geobasking Empire. Peace. Geobasking Empire.